والله يدعو إلى دار السلام ويهدي من يشاء إلى صراط مستقيم.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to a new episode of your show, Inspirations. Today we will talk about something that is very important, and actually it draws the line between the Muslims and the non-Muslims, the believers and the disbelievers. It has a big impact on us. It has a big impact on the way we see ourselves in this life. It is the article of faith that is, or actually that puzzled the philosophers, that gave the answer that every human soul is, which every human soul is seeking and looking after, or looking for. So this article of faith is belief in the next life. This belief is very important. And in Islam, belief in the second life or the next life occupies a very high status because it has such a big influence on us, on our way of thinking, on our perception of this world. We will see inshallah what Islam says about this belief. And before we get into that, I have just to point to one fact, that to cover the aspects of belief in the last day in Islam, it would take us such a long time that our program, our show will not be enough to cover all the subjects. So this is why we'll try to talk about it only during this episode, briefly mention the things, the elements or the aspects of belief in the last day. We'll try to see what they are. We'll try to develop the correct understanding of them in Islam and see how they can help us enhance our behavior and our character as Muslims. Then I promise, or not to give a promise basically, to say that there's a plan inshallah in my mind, and maybe somebody else will do this, talk about the elements that, or the aspects of belief in the last day. Because there are so many aspects that we will mention today inshallah. We will point to them very briefly, and you will see that it needs a special program to talk about all these aspects. But we'll try to summarize everything today, briefly see what Islam says about that, and also talking in detail about the elements or the aspects of belief in the hereafter. Needs a totally different format, because needs a lot of illustrations, a lot of explanation, a lot of storytelling, which our present format does not allow. So inshallah today we'll try to speak briefly about belief in the hereafter or the next life, see what Islam says about that, see how important it is for us as Muslims, and how it sets or it draws the line between the Muslims and the non-Muslims. Let me welcome our guests. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Very nice to have you with us today talking about this interesting subject. Let's start about talking, when we say in Arabic, we say al-imanu bil-akhirah, belief in the next life, or belief in the hereafter. Now, in English, if we were to talk about belief in the hereafter, it means the events that happen on the Day of Judgment. Belief in the next life still has some kind of limited denotation. So I just want to get from you what we mean when we say belief in the last day in Arabic, or in Islam in general. What are the aspects involved in this concept, belief in the last day? Can we start with you? You can mention one of the aspects, then inshallah we'll take the rest. What do you think? Can we start mentioning the aspects of belief in the last day? Let me mention the first one. The first aspect of belief in the last day is belief in the reality of death. Death is the first step, or the first stage leading to the hereafter, or the first stage of the hereafter. What other stages or what other aspects we have of this belief? Can anyone help us? Okay, when we say, I believe in the next, or the next life, what does this indicate? What do you believe in? Yes, Umar. Let me say Umar.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I believe that death is not the end of the line in human life.
Yes.
There's another life. It's like a story of 2 episodes. The episode 2 is after death.
Okay, so you believe there's life
I
after
will
death.
not be totally consumed just when death comes. I have another life, and I will work for this life.
Yes. Okay, that's one aspect. What else? What does this life after death include? What stages?
I do believe also in the day after, after death, that there is a punishment from the God. for the people who didn't believe in God or the day after. And there is something that reward for the believers of the
That's it.
the last
Belief
day.
in the punishment and the recompense or the reward that the righteous people will get, and the punishment or the chastisement that the disbelievers will get. This is part of belief in the last day. What other aspects we have of belief in the last day? Omar again?
That justice will be made in this day.
Okay, justice will be established on that day, which actually follows from the reckoning. Okay, what about the grave? Is it part, life in the grave? Is it part of our belief in the life after death?
Yes, it is.
It is, okay. So what else? Can you think of other things? Other events that will happen after death. Everything that happens after death is part of our belief in the next life. But what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to get from you some of these details, so our viewers who are maybe unaware of these aspects, see what Muslims do. When we say life after death or the hereafter, these are the things that we refer to. What else do you have?
The process of what I call a cleansing, the faithful starts. If the faithful person dies and was not committed to his or her tawbah or repentance, there will be a process that will clean that person from that moment that he dies all the way until the last station of the hereafter. There will be stations. Each one of them, it will clean that person time after time, hoping that by the time he reaches hell, he will be totally clean, and inshallah, the malaika will say...
What are these? What is
stations? There are many stations.
Like what?
And the first one is, like I say, in the grave, the moment he dies. Ahwal al-qabr, which is the difficult times that he will have in the grave. The grave will crunch some people. It will the ants will start eating the body. The darkness. Of course, the good person, the one that the faithful will stay with, as Prophet Muhammad said, al-qabru rawda min riyad al-jannah. It will be a garden from the gardens of paradise, or a hole or a part or a piece of hell.
Yes.
So definitely there will be punishment.
Yes.
Time from a station to another. Another station is that, of course, connecting that person to the living people. Living people can actually assist that person through these harsh times that he is going through. I don't want to take more time, but there are many stations that I would like to
the
break
details
up.
we'll try to get to details, but let's try to get some kind of a complete or a total understanding of what we mean of belief in the life after death. So we said the first stage is the grave. That's the first stage. After death, there is the grave. And the person has a special kind of life there. As Umar said, it's not the end of this life, the moment that you die. Actually, you are transferred to another form of life. So the person in the grave will be living in a different form, in a different way. Something that is beyond our comprehension, us who live in this world. Okay, now the grave. What happens after the grave? After that stage ends, what happens? What comes after the grave? Now these are parts of belief, or the aspects of belief in the hereafter.
I think also the people who are in the grave will be recalled to the God. The God will recall them, and they will be gathered.
What we call the resurrection, will be brought to life again. Yeah. They will be brought to life. That's the resurrection. So we have death, we have the grave, we have resurrection on the day of judgment. That's the beginning of the day of judgment, the resurrection. Okay, after the people are resurrected and they are brought to life again, what happens to them? What takes place after that, after the resurrection?
People will go to either to the paradise.
Okay, there's something before that.
Okay, some people will be gathered.
Okay, the people will be gathered in one place.
Their deeds will be balanced. The good people who got their balance, the good deeds is more. They will go to the paradise.
Yes. So what do we call this? In Arabic, judgment. What?
Justice.
Al-Hisab in Arabic, which is more accurately translated into English, we can say it's the reckoning or the account. The account, people will be held to account by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they will be asked, everything good, every atom's weight of good they did, they will see it, they will come to face it. And every atom's weight of evil, they did, they will come to see it. As Allah said in Surah Az-Zilzal, فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ. An atom's weight of good that you do, you will see it. An atom's weight of evil you do, you will see it on that day. Then after this, the people who did well, they will be directed to paradise, to Jannah, and the people whose actions actually did not manage to get them to paradise, they will go to hell. Now, generally this is our belief in the hereafter, but there are some things attached to our belief. Part of it is belief in the signs that will precede the advent of the Day of Judgment. We have the major signs and we have the minor signs. Now generally this is our belief in the last day. Now I'm trying to move to another point, which is, how does belief in the last day, how does it make the Muslim different? Now you have a whole set now of ideas that you can deal with about how belief in the next life forms the Muslim and shapes and molds the Muslim character and the Muslim's behavior and the Muslim's attitude towards life. Can we start elaborating on this? Okay, let's start with it.
Believing in the last day is part of belief in the God itself.
Yes.
So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always combined the belief in the last day with His believing in. So this is the most important, that the Muslims who believes in the last day already believe in the God.
That's a very strong point. Quite often in the Quran we find those who believe in Allah and the last day. فَمَنْ آمَنَ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ. That's very common in the Quran. That's a very good connection. MashaAllah, very good point. As we are talking about this belief in, or we have come to see the whole picture of the meaning of belief in the last day. Now, how does this shape the Muslim character? How does it make the Muslim different from the non-Muslims? What impact it has on our character? What's the point of belief in the last day? This is what we'll try to see. Please go ahead.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in many verses that believing in Him is believing in the last day is part of believing in Him. So He combines believing in God and believes in the Day of Judgment, and the last day. So it should be combined together.
That's a very good point. Quite often in the Quran we see that belief in Allah and belief in the last day are combined. Allah says, those who believe in Allah and the last day. So it's part of belief in Allah. It follows from belief in... If I believe in Allah, that He's the creator, that He's the maker, it means that I believe everything He tells me about this life. So Allah told us about the hereafter, and they are strongly connected. That's a very strong point. We find this quite often in the Quran. What else? How does belief in the last day impact our behavior, our attitude in life? Basil, please.
Without a doubt, it will definitely impact the Muslim who believes in the hereafter, knowing that he will be, or he is responsible for everything he does, and with responsibility comes accountability. So without a doubt, every day he wakes up in the morning, he has that motive pushing him, knowing that, you know what, someday I will go and face the Creator. What am I going to say to Him? I am accountable for everything I say. I have to be careful. I have to be very detailed in everything I do. There's no such thing as small deeds. Everything counts in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Without a doubt, it's going to impact someone's life.
This very point is a very important part of our makeup as Muslims. That we are always aware of this end. So it leads us to understand the responsibility that we have. The accountability that is part of us, that we are going to go through it, and we will face our Creator one day, and He will hold us accountable for the things we did, and for the things we said. Umar, you have a point? Okay, go ahead, please.
Well, it's another point of view. I mean, at the Day of Judgment, God will judge us with His justice. So thinking about the last day, it will also give us the hope to judge ourselves first. Before God will judge us. So we'll start, our manners will be different, our style of life will be different, so we will start having this path of righteousness, and we'll start thinking of it. Not just, I will do it. No, I will really do it.
That's it. If we put these things together, try to break it down. Let's set an example. Someone who believes that the death is the end of my life. That's it. I'm going to live here for, let's say, 50 years. That's the end of my life. That's the end of it. There's nothing after that. imagine what kind of person this individual would be. What kind of person? This is where pragmatism comes from. That I'm living for 50 years, I have to get the most out of this life. This leads to selfishness. Enjoy your life as much as you can. So many people have this attitude because life has no meaning to them, because we came through evolution or any other way. It doesn't make any difference to them. We happen to come to this world, we're going to live, and we're going to die just as the people who came before us did. And that's the end of it. So for these people, naturally or logically, I would say the end would justify the means. For them, they have certain goals that pertain to enjoying this life, getting the most out of it, no matter what the means are. And this actually leads and controls their behavior throughout their life. And it would actually direct their attention to themselves. So they will be self-centered. I'm going to live for 50 years, I have only time for myself, to enjoy myself, and that's it. So this is the attitude of someone who does not believe in the last day. We will see how the Muslim, or the person who believes in the next life, how this makes him totally different from that person after we take this short break. And we'll say to our viewers, stay with us, we'll see you after the break, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Inspirations. We are still talking about the life after death and how Muslims should believe in that, and how it makes the Muslims totally different from others. Okay, so we set the example of someone who does not believe in the last day, that basically for him the end justifies the means, and for him life is all about myself, what I'm going to achieve for myself, how much I'm going to enjoy out of this life. That's it. It makes the goal of this life, the ultimate goal of this life, something very ridiculous, something very insignificant. And this actually impacts the character strongly. Now can anyone elaborate on how the Muslim would be in comparison to the non-believer? Please. Okay.
One of the things that Rasul sallallahu Prophet Muhammad says that من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليقل خيرا أو ليصمت. That Rasul sallallahu said, who believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the last day, he should say good things or he shouldn't say. So this is it gives how the Muslims can control themselves by sayings. And by doing things also as well.
Yes.
So he got something. He has a control.
Yes. His awareness of the second life of the last day tells him that he should control himself, and that actually goes to the concept that Brother Basil told us about, which is accountability and responsibility. But I'm just trying to explain. A Muslim, okay, we said the example of someone who does not believe in the last day. Death is the end for him, that's it. Someone who believes in the last day, now how would he look at life? Okay, can I take Umar? Okay, go ahead.
Well, he will look at life with hope.
How?
And the disbeliever will look at he's desperate. There is nothing after death.
Yes.
I will do everything I can. His life pattern is so fast. I want this, I want to do that.
Yes.
But the believer is, okay, I will do this, I will do that. It's very easy. It's more not complicated. He's very easy with things.
That's a very good aspect. Very good. Because my life does not end with death. I have a lot to earn in the hereafter. I have something to look up to in the next life. So that makes a big, really makes a big difference in the heart of this believer.
It also gives an inner peace. I will do good. I won't be afraid at this day. But the desperate disbeliever is okay, I don't care. You know, I will just die.
Okay, let's take Abu Adam here.
A Muslim who understands this whole aspect of the hereafter will immediately have a connection with the Master. His Master is the one that he will see after death. He will lose total control over himself, and his Master will be in control of him totally. What you will do if you want to look at this in the right manner is you see what will satisfy my Master. So you will start living the life that will make him happy, not make you happy. And without a doubt, when he is happy, you will be happy. You will live the life that a zahid, someone who renounces life, someone who lives for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is in continuous communication with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to see if he's doing good or not. Because he will immediately has that sense of, he's living with a sense of purpose. He knows where he's heading. He knows what the outcome of this life is going to be. Not that person who is totally lost, who just wants to acquire, and all he wants is me, you know.
That's it.
He start looking, he wants to spread the word, he wants to convey the message, he wants to live the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to live.
Let me comment before we carry on a very important word that you said. Those people who don't believe in the hereafter are lost. You know why they are lost? Allah says about them in the Qur'an that what they depend upon is conjecture. Conjecture is the Arabic dhann, it's the word dhann, okay? It's only suspicion that they depend on. It's not certainty. So anyone who does not believe in death, they don't have 100% certainty. No way. Because they don't know. Now, who told them there is no life after death? You cannot detect it with your senses. It does not mean there is no life after death. It's very simple. There are so many things about this universe we don't know. Simply because we cannot detect it. But it doesn't mean that these things do not exist. So when someone says there is no life after death, just because we cannot detect it or we cannot sense it, then they have no certainty. It's only doubts. It's only conjecture. And this causes them to live in a state of mess, in a state of being lost. Really, they have this sense. This is what Allah said about them. This is what Allah described them in the Qur'an as they are blind, or they are people who walk in the darkness. So when the light comes to them, they are scared. When the lightning comes, they are scared. They can't carry on with it. So it's a very important fact that those who don't believe in life after death, they don't depend on certainty, and they don't have certainty. This is why they are very troubled. They live their lives with anxiety and stress. And this causes their lives to be miserable. Now the one who believes in Allah, and this is it shows, you know, the kind of inner peace, as you said, Umar, the inner peace, the certainty that the believer has. Because I believed in my Creator. I saw the signs of Allah in this universe, and I believed in Him based on logic and based on what my own nature tells me to do. And all of this puts me in a state of peace that has no parallel except the believer. Only the believers have this kind of state or inner peace. Now this thing, what it makes, as Brother Basil said, about the next life, that this life is not my ultimate goal. And my connection is with my Creator. Now I don't know what's going to happen. I don't have knowledge for myself about this next life. But Allah has shown me His mercy and His concern for my own welfare in the next life, and He has given me the clues that I can follow. So if I have tawakkul, if I depend and rely on my Creator and trust Him, I have nothing to fear. If I follow His instructions, then I will be... It's simply like someone who is desperately ill, and they just submit themselves to the doctors, because you know I don't know. You do what you see fitting, what you see right to do, and I'll accept that. This is on the human level. So what do you think about Allah, the Creator of the heavens and the earth? Now we can see what kind of insight the believer has. Now, the problem of seeing that this life is only 50, 70, 60, 70 years, it really has its own consequences on the heart. If I see that my life is very short, and we know, this is from experience, that, you know, a year flies just like that. Time flies. Especially today, in this fast way of life that we follow. Things just go fast. It's been only yesterday when we were kids, and now we are fully grown human beings. Most of us were just kids, just yesterday. And now we are fully grown men with families, with the responsibilities, and very soon, if Allah gives us a longer life, we'll be among the elderly. So life is very short, and we all know about that. Ask someone who's old about their life. They will have some flashbacks about their life. They will tell you, it's been just like a couple of days. A very short time. So life is very short. Imagine the person who limits himself to this life, and he says, that's it, that's my life. Imagine the kind of narrowness, the feeling of stress that they will have in their hearts. But for someone who knows that we are destined to live forever, and this life has a purpose, a noble purpose, and I know where I came from. And we said previously many times that there is a strong desire in every human being to know where we came from, and what's the meaning of our existence here, and where we are heading to. We need to know that. Without it, we will be like hanging in the air, like on the edge. We don't know what we are doing. So this is what Allah tells us about the last day. And it's very important for us to know that. And actually it makes sense. It makes sense. We know there is a lot of injustice in this world. So many people live their lives oppressed, taken advantage of, and they don't get their rights. But there are other people who oppress the others, take advantage of them, and they cause other people's lives to be hell, and still they get by. And they get away with everything they did, and they die without any kind of account or any kind of judgment or justice. Where's justice in this world then? And the whole, this concept of people can get away with what they did, people live oppressed, people live as oppressors, and then they die, and that's it. This kind of concept or this kind of view does not go with the great system that we have in this world. We can see everything goes according to a system. This is why we have been given the ability to understand the world and the different systems in our bodies, in the whole world around us, because everything goes according to a system, according to a harmony, a state of harmony. And to believe that this life will end with injustice does not go with everything in this world. It is totally, it sticks out. It doesn't match the great system in this world. And it doesn't make any sense. But for someone to say that you can live as an oppressed, but still you will get your right at the end. Justice will be established. Now this gives, we started to now explore more about the Muslim character. Now to see that even if you live in poverty, even if you live in very bad conditions, even if you are oppressed, even if you are taken advantage of, only knowing that one day you will get your right and you will take it in full, what kind of sense it puts in your heart. Imagine if someone believes that death is the end of my life, and then he lives his life in poverty, in a very bad, according to a very low standards, what kind of hope he has? That's it. But the believer, no. This is why Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, how amazing is the affair of the believer. If something good comes to him, he's thankful. He knows that's not the end of it. It's only a test. Even the good that comes to me, it's a test. It does not cause me to go to excess. It does not cause me to go overboard. And this is good for him. And then he said, and if something bad comes to him, if a calamity comes to him, then he's patient. This life is not about enjoying it. This life is not my ultimate goal. Ultimate goal, as Allah said, وَإِنَّ الْآخِرَةَ لَهِيَ الْحَيَوَانِ لَوْ كَانُوا يَعْلَمُونَ. The real life, our real life is in the hereafter. It's not this one. This one is very short, has no meaning. The real life is in the hereafter. So I'm preparing myself, as one of you said, I'm preparing myself for that. I'm looking forward to that life. This life, no matter what happens, it is the nature of this life. There will be hardship, there will be ease, but it's nothing. The main thing is to secure your place in paradise. That's it. Okay, so can we elaborate more and see more aspects of goodness that belief in the hereafter can help us with? Can you think of anything?
I wanted to mention something really about, I want to mention a small story about Rab'a al-Adawiyya.
Yes.
She's been asked, do you pray, do you worship God because you're afraid of His punishment? Or do you worship God because you want to get to His paradise? She answered very good questions on that. I worship God because I'm loving Him. I devote my life to him. So that reflects in the Muslim and Rab'a as well, in her deeds and her sayings. So we can say either the Muslim can gain the acceptance of God by going to paradise, or losing the day after, the last day, going to the hellfire.
Yes. Well, commenting on this fact, unfortunately some people take a statement and try to use it the wrong way. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran described the believers and praised them by saying that they worship Allah in fear of His punishment and in hope for His reward. So to complete our belief, we have to have love for Allah, we worship Him for that, to be grateful to Him, and we worship Him because we fear His punishment. We do fear His punishment. It's part of our belief in the last day. And we hope for His reward and for paradise. We hope for that and wish for it. And this causes us to increase in worship as well. There's no harm in that. But I know the main point that you were referring to is that because we are aware of the hereafter, it causes us to choose our way, to choose our code of behavior, and we stick to that. And we know where we are heading to. This is what Allah described. Allah said the comparison. He said, are they equal, the ones who walk according to guidance, according to light that they can see, or those who walk on their faces, walking in darkness? Are they equal? Definitely they are not equal. Okay. Tell me more how belief in the last day makes the Muslim distinct. It favors the Muslim over others. How does it make us stronger?
Without a doubt, if you know that this is just a temporary life and the permanent life is in the hereafter, you just everything you do in your life, it will be for the preparation of the next life. But I would like to say something really important. I believe that we have to go to applications. How can I really make this impact my life? How can I keep this in my mind? I think one of the most important things I do personally is keep few hadiths that are very powerful, always in the back of my mind, to really understand.
Can we talk about them after the break?
Please.
Please keep them, prepare them. This is what we should go to, the application, how to put this into practice. Inshallah, we'll talk about this after the break. I say to our viewers, we'll see you after the break to talk about how to apply this belief in our lives.
خيركم من تعلم القرآن وعلمه ورتل القرآن ترتيلا. Learning how to recite the Quran properly, learning the meaning of what we recite, concluding the ahkam from the verses which we recite, trying to implement what we learn in our daily life. We'll listen to the participants and the guests. We'll take your phone calls. We're going to recite live. We'll listen to your recitation. And we'll correct it according to the rules and regulations which will state in each episode. Now, your dream will come true.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back. You're still watching Inspirations. Okay, now we were talking with Brother Basil about how the belief in the last day makes us different, makes us stronger, and it helps us, gives us advantage, and equips us actually with a lot more strategies and a lot more favor to deal with this life in a very successful way. But you were talking about how to make this practical.
Yes, application. There's theory and there's application. For you to apply something, you really need to keep a few things in your mind, or in the back of your mind, hadith, ayah, something that really shake you up. One of these hadiths that really get to me all the time is that just to show what life is all about, okay? So that will definitely have a big impact on your life. In the day of judgment, the most miserable person that ever lived on this life will be brought. And he will be a man from paradise. Someone, he did his job to go to paradise. He will be brought and in the day of judgment in front of everyone, and dipped into paradise and brought up. And he will be asked, have you seen anything bad in your whole life? He was miserable, remember that. He says to Allah, I have never ever seen anything bad in my whole life, Lord. And then, the happiest person that ever lived in this life, pleasure, you name it, he's spending left and right, the best cars, best home, everything. But he is a man that belongs to hell, will be brought at the day of judgment. And he will be dipped, imagine, just dipped into hell, brought up, and he will be asked the question, have you seen anything good in your whole life? He says, oh Lord, I have never ever seen anything good in my whole life. We're talking about seconds in the calculation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This whole life. If you are a true Muslim, think deep about this hadith, and it should make a big impact in your life. That's what I mean, that we need to go to applications,
Yes.
keep it in the back of our minds. Hopefully,
Yes.
it will make an impact on our life.
That's definitely true, that you really need to have some kind of clue or a statement that always gets you back to the point of belief in the last day. And this hadith illustrates that this life is basically nothing. Just one dip in paradise will make you forget, will make the most miserable man who lived ever in this life forget all the misery he went through. Imagine only one dip, that's even maybe less than 1 second. Just dip and bring him up. And the opposite with someone who belongs to the hellfire. He enjoyed this life the most. He had everything he wanted. Then he dipped for less than 1 second in the hellfire, and he brought back again, and he says, I've never seen anything good in my life. Imagine. So this kind of life, what is it? Even Prophet Muhammad ﷺ tells us about the reality of this life. Why did Prophet Muhammad tell us about the reality of this life and about the reality of the hereafter? So that he wants to extend our insight. Don't look into only between your feet. Don't be short-sighted. Always keep your sight up. Look further to the hereafter. Prepare for you know, we always prepare for our future. What's the real future? It's not a 10-year plan or 20-year plan. It's actually about preparing for the hereafter. That's the real life. That's the real preparation. Before I take Umar, I just want to elaborate on one point. Something very important we have to remember, which is, and the Prophet ﷺ gave us the advice. He said, always remember the destroyer of pleasures, or increase in the remembrance of the demolisher of all pleasures. Imagine the description, destroyer, the demolisher of pleasures, which is death. So the Prophet ﷺ says, when death is remembered, if you are in a state of happiness and ease and joy, then it will diminish that. It will make it go smaller. Why? Because death will remind you about the reality of this pleasure, that it's going to end. It's very short. And the real pleasure is in the hereafter, it's not here. So if you compare the pleasure that you have here to the pleasure that the believers will receive in the hereafter, it's nothing. So this pleasure that I'm happy with, this kind of joy that I enjoy, that I rejoice on, is basically nothing. So let me give everything its true estimate, its true worth. And the Prophet ﷺ said, when death is remembered at the time of difficulty, then what it does, basically, it makes this difficulty diminish. It's nothing. Why? Because this calamity, this life is nothing. It's not my ultimate goal or my ultimate destiny. My destiny is in the hereafter. So I should always keep my sight attached. So could you see the life of the Muslim, because he knows his sight is always attached to the hereafter, to the success in the hereafter. It's totally a life of construction, a life of hope, a life of planning, real planning. Because I can see this life as it really is. I have a full picture about the reality of this life. But those who limit themselves to this life, they don't have the whole picture. This is why they go through misery. Okay, Omar, I'll take your comment now.
Well, just from the hadith we just heard, I mean, this day you will see the ultimate truth. You will see what this life is about. We can say it's a little bit pathetic.
Yes.
You know, and just like the Prophet ﷺ said, that this life is like just a station. You just wait to a transportation to take you. Let's imagine that we're sitting in a bus station, and the bus will come and take me. And this bus, we can, think about it, it's my deeds and my good work. If I have good work, I will go to heavens. I will go to heaven.
Yes.
And if I have bad deeds, I will go to hellfire. And that's a very important point, because we can look at life from a different point of view. We can think of life from different approachable ways.
Okay, let me ask you this question. taking the aspect of dealing with others, how we treat others as Muslims, how does belief in the last day shape our behavior in this aspect? I believe there is a next life. I believe there is an account. I have to, my deeds will be weighed. And I know that I will stand before Allah and be asked about everything I did. How does this impact our behavior with others? How does it? Do you have some kind of answer? So many answers.
So many. One of them is, of course, if you have ever harmed anyone, you will stand in the day of judgment, as we know as Muslims, and you will, that person that you have harmed will start taking from the good deeds that you have done, little by little. It's like milking a cow,
Yes.
until you start losing it. And if you lose all your good deeds, you will start receiving some of his bad deeds. Justice will be done, will be served. So if you, like you said, some people might believe that the justice was not done or was not served, and that person that harmed me died. No, he will stand someday. You will stand against him. You start receiving from him. A Muslim will, if he truly believes that, again he will start breathing easier. Life will become an easier place for him. Acceptance, no problem,
Yes.
and he will become more tolerant, more patient. That's how
Definitely.
it will impact his life.
Okay. Still, like for example, when I know that I will be held to account, doesn't this stop me from harming others, from oppressing them, from wronging them? It surely does. This is why we should really, the governments all around the world always try to minimize crime. They try to deal with the issue of crime, murder, stealing and all that stuff. All this kind of behavior. It's a worldly problem. It's a universal problem. It's a global problem. And until now, prisons are full. And criminals are increasing. And life is becoming harder because of that. But people never thought about... Why? Because most people are getting atheist. They don't believe in the next life. They don't believe they will be held accountable. Even if they go to prison, to some people, prison is fun. So many people, some of the criminals, they are addicted to prison because they learn new tricks there. It is an academy for crime. Really, so many criminals do this. And some actually, in the poorer countries, some people commit crime on purpose because they cannot feed themselves. They cannot take care of their families. So what they do, they just want to run away from their responsibility, so they commit a crime to go to the prison so that they can be fed and they can, free themselves from the responsibility of providing for their kids. But imagine in Islam, no, you are responsible. If you wrong if you take someone else's property, you will be held accountable for that. And the day of judgment, the recompense, you will pay him back with your hasanat, as Brother Basil said. So imagine how this makes the Muslim a very good citizen. People in the advanced countries, they are afraid of the law, of the punitive law, which is the punishment, going to prison or being fined. This is why they stick to the law. But once the law is broken, once they are out of their country, they do so many evil things you never thought of. Like, some time ago in New York there was a power cut, and this is a very well-known incident. For 2 hours, New York, most of the shop centers there, most of the shops, most of the supermarkets were stolen. Looting, a lot of murders happened. Only 2 hours of power cut, no electricity. We know what happened in New Orleans, the hurricane that happened a few years ago, or a couple of years ago, 2 years ago. Imagine, once people people started leaving the city because they knew it will be destroyed. What happened? People started to, actually they swarmed the shopping centers, the houses, looting, stealing, taking, and a lot of murder happened. People started shooting each other. Why? Because this is my shop, I'm going to steal it. You have no right to do that. Started shooting each other. Imagine that. Now where is law? Just a couple of days before that, they were sticking to the law. Why? Because they were afraid of the punishment. But the control with the Muslims is self-control. Once we know that we cannot escape Allah, Allah is watching us, and if I do wrong, then I will be held accountable for that. No one is going to intercede for me. Then I will face the consequences. It makes the Muslim have this kind of consciousness. I'm aware of my responsibility, and I should be good to the others so that Allah will be good to me. Imagine, so if you really want to improve the behavior of people, the criminals, teach them about belief in the last day. Teach them Islam, and you will see how they will change. And this is very well known in the West now. Most of the Western countries are allowing Muslims to give da'wah in the prison. Why? Because they say, we have animals here, transform them. We tried everything with them, it doesn't work out. So really, they have seen, I personally know a lot of the brothers in London. I know some of them were really murderers, drug dealers, and they embraced Islam in prison, and they became totally different people. Now they studied, they're hardworking, they look after their families, they're very responsible human beings. Belief in the hereafter makes wonders. It is part of our makeup as Muslims. But if we fail to remain aware of that, we will not get these wonderful results. So this is why Muslims, they have to increase in knowledge. We have to remain, as Brother Basil said, remain in contact, constant contact with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This will remind us of the reality of the hereafter. This will keep us under the control that Allah wants us to have on ourselves. Omar, you had a comment?
I mean, also the day of hereafter, it gives us the power to forgive other people. I mean, if you did something wrong to me, I will be able to forgive you. Without this law of God, I mean, I also have this self-highness from the inside. I mean, we all know that the laws that have been made by the human being is very, let me say, also pathetic, and they are not effective.
Yeah.
But the law of God, this day makes me more clutch to them.
Mm-hmm.
I will hang, just like, وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ. It gives me this power.
That's it. That's part of how it really builds a strong and an upright Muslim character. Basil?
There's an impact that might not be in our mind, which is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed us, people who are living, alive, to help those people who have died by doing sadaqah, by doing dua for them, pray for them, and for forgiveness and all that, which really actually keep you in contact with these people, and in return will let you remember that someday I will be there and I will be in desperate need for dua and for sadaqah. Why not give it now?
Mm-hmm.
I remember, let me just give a personal experience, if I may. I remember one of my very, very good friends. I worked with him for many years. This person one day, he said, I love you. He said to me, I love you. He really cared so much, and to a point he said that. Amazing, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put him in my path. That person died. So I said, you know what, I have a responsibility to pray for this person. And I kept doing this, and then all of a sudden I remember, you know what, I'm not just going to remember this person. There's a whole nation who's waiting for my prayer. رَبِّ اغْفِرْ لِي وَلِأُمَّةِ مُحَمَّدٍ صلى الله عليه وسلم. I saying, instead of saying just forgive this person, for the whole nation. And that made me definitely a different person.
Mm-hmm.
And so I believe, we always, this will definitely impact our life. To thinking about those people who will die, and in return we should actually think that someday we will be there in desperate need for this help. Do it now, give now.
So can we conclude from this, maybe we can come to the conclusion that belief in the last day makes the soul noble. It really broadens our insight with regards to understanding this life and planning for the hereafter. And it makes us stronger. In the face of calamities and hardships, we are strong because we know it's not the end. There will be hereafter. Nothing, even, sometimes we do good to others, but they are ungrateful. A lot of people fall into stress because of this. And the thing with the Muslims, that everything good you did will not go to waste. Allah knows about it, and you will get it at the end. So don't worry about this. Imagine, so many people are desperate to have the gratefulness of the people, but they don't get it. If they don't believe in the hereafter, they will die out of maybe of a heart attack or something else. But the Muslim, no. I know everything is recorded for me and I will get it. So alhamdulillah, this is the sense of justice that Islam teaches us. Belief in the last day teaches us. I believe this is a very good conclusion. Alhamdulillah, may Allah reward you. Say to our viewers, inshallah, in a few weeks we'll start a new shape of inspirations that inshallah will, because the topics actually sometimes necessitate that we have a new shape and we have some changes. And inshallah, I hope it will appeal to you and you will like it. And it will help, inshallah, the subject. And please send us your comments about everything you think about this show, about the format, about the style, about everything. We appreciate your comments and your suggestions. May Allah reward you for all your help and your support. And until we meet next time with another beautiful aspect of Islam and of belief, I leave you in the care of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.